Well, hello, my friend. Cheers, and welcome to today's edition of Coffee with Kelly, where we're talking all things Christmas gift-giving sanity. Because it can drive you a little nuts, can it? When your relatives maybe ask for a specific list of gifts for the kids, and then they don't end up buying any of it. Or maybe you're not sure how many gifts to buy. Or maybe your kids are acting a little bit ungrateful. How to deal in the moment, or how to manage kids' expectations. We're covering it all. So grab your coffee and we'll get right to it. Okay, so kicking things off, our first question comes from Lisa via YouTube. And she asks, how do I start the conversation with relatives that mean well, but ask for a list of gift ideas and then go and purchase something else? Woohoo, Lisa, I think you hit on a little bit of a hot topic there because I have gotten this question from several other people. The struggle is real. And in answering it, I'd have to ask, I guess. I know it's annoying when people go to answer a question and just ask more questions, but what is the real issue? What's really getting your goat here? Is it that your kids are really wanting something and they're disappointed? Are your kids feeling like grandma or Aunt Sandra isn't really paying attention to their interests or what they're looking for? Do they feel like they're not special? Like, do they feel like there's not much thought going into the gift? Or is it something more on your end? Are the kids totally fine with what the relatives are getting them, but you're feeling upset? Are you feeling like maybe you're being overshadowed? Or are you feeling like they're spending too much money? Or do you feel like they're spoiling their kids? There was a two-parter actually to Lisa's question where, you're trying to cut back, you're trying to go a little bit more minimalist, but then the relatives are still going overboard on the gifts. So first I would try to get really real with yourself as to what's actually bothering you, and then go from there. So whatever it was from that list of reasons we can get upset about gift giving, right? And they're all real. Like, I've had so many questions surrounding this. The key then is just to have a convo. Like, have a really direct, open conversation. And I know that's hard. I'm not trying to sweep that under the rug, that can be challenging sometimes. But sometimes I think we can feel like if we're going against what someone else wants, or we have a different opinion on something, that we're somehow being mean, or we're somehow hurting someone's feelings. And I really don't believe it has to be like that, because I think there's a lot to be said for being clear and setting boundaries. Because if the roles were reversed and I was doing something that was pissing off one of my relatives or hurting someone's feelings, or someone thought that I was out of line, I would want to know about it. I would absolutely want to know about it. I know it's not like that in all cases, of course. There's all kinds of different family dynamics, but don't be afraid to have a really open conversation with them about the issue and about what's going on. Another really important thing, I think, too, is to give our relatives a heads up. If there is one really special gift our kids are wanting, and when we're kind of, I don't even know what the right word is, but divvying up, who's gonna get what, give them a heads up that your child is really, really looking forward to that gift. And that if they're not going to get it, to give you a heads up so so that there's no disappointment on Christmas morning. So just give them a heads up if it is a particularly special gift, if it is something the child is really, really wanting. It's totally fine if they want to get something else, but just to let you know, that way everybody's on the same page. And this is a tricky one too, because sometimes you do all of that, Lisa, right? Sometimes you have a really open conversation with them about trying to cut back and trying to go a little bit more minimalist, or, you're upset about being, I'm not saying this is you, but I know this is the case for other people, being overshadowed. It's like, have you seen the movie Four Christmases, where everyone's kind of cut back on gifts, has a $10 gift, and then the aunt and uncle come in and buy the kids an Xbox, right? Hello, hurt feelings right there. So sometimes you can do all that, you can have all the conversations, and there's still some disappointment, and it falls flat. And sometimes that's just how it goes, unfortunately. All you can do is do your best, be open, and then you can use that even as a lesson in gratitude for your kids, as, okay, I know you were really looking forward to this, but grandma really wanted to get you this, and she put a lot of effort into getting that for you, and talking about things that way. But I'm always about putting the relationship first, right? Because really, in the end, a gift is a gift. It's really about the relationship, and that's what the holidays are all about. So I hope that helps. I know it's tricky. I don't want to minimize it, But just give it a try and see what happens. Have those conversations. First, get really real about what's bugging you, and then have a conversation, and don't be afraid to be really clear. Get that little bit of gusto and you'll be good to go. And along that similar theme, our next question comes from Nikia and Ben, and these are actually high school students. Isn't this cool? I had some questions submitted from Clarksdale, Mississippi, Coahoma County High School. I really hope I'm saying that right, and I'm sorry if I'm not. But this next question is from Nikia and Ben, and they ask, what would be a good number of presents for my kids? And the second question, how do I stick to buying gifts that are age and price appropriate? And for me, when it comes to an appropriate number of gifts, I feel like that's completely individual, and I really don't feel like it's my place to say like what the appropriate number of gifts are. But it's something just to take note of when you see your kids opening your gifts and when you see your kids starting to lose interest. My husband and I had a massive wake-up call in this department when our kids were probably 2 and 3. The first Christmas we really noticed that we had gone overboard because our kids, they just wanted to play with their stockings. We weren't even finished their stockings, and it was time to move on to like opening their real gifts, and they had no interest. They just wanted to play with what was in their stockings. So just, if that's happening for you, as soon as that point when your kids are losing interest, or when they're not actually focusing on what they're getting and enjoying it in the moment and having gratitude for what they got, but are just on to like, okay, I want the next gift. What's the next gift? When it becomes a process of opening and unwrapping as fast as they can, just kind of take note of that for you. So while that's something I can't say what the right or magical amount is, I kind of lean on the less is more. But again, it's totally up to you, because then that way your kids can really develop an appreciation for what they have and be thankful for what they have and really focus on what they've got rather than being buried in a pile of toys and not really knowing how to crawl out of it, right? It's hard. The struggle is real. And this kind of also ties in with another question I got from Sunshine, who sent me a question via email. And her question was, how can I convince my kids, who are 3 and 6, to be happy with only one big gift? This is a big one, right? Like managing expectations and wanting our kids to feel happy and thankful on Christmas morning and not feel like they've been, not necessarily, I don't think shortchanged is the right word, but like have them be ungrateful for what they've gotten. And one thing that I think we can do as parents that I think often gets overlooked is involve our kids in the gift buying process. Like, how many of you out there just go and take care of it all, right? You do all of the shopping for everything and don't really involve necessarily your partner or the kids in any of it. You're making the list, you're doing the shopping, you're wrapping, you're setting everything up. It's hard to be grateful for something when you don't have an understanding of the process of what goes into it. So my challenge for you would be to start involving, and everyone, for all of us, start involving your kids in the gift buying process so they can see what's involved. They can see all the hard work and all the thought that goes into buying gifts, and it's not just as easy as, oh wow, look at this, my favorite G.I. Joe, on to the next thing, because then they'll have an understanding of what's going into it. So sit down with your kids and make your list and have them brainstorm. What would be a good gift for grandma? What do you think your uncle would like? How about your cousin? What do you think he would like? What about dad? Make those lists. Take them shopping. I'm not suggesting that you do all of your shopping with your kids, of course. I'm not trying to send you off the deep end completely, but some of it, so they have an idea of what it's like to go to the store, what it's like to go to the store when you go and maybe what you wanted to buy is out of stock, what that's like. Then involve them in wrapping the presents. Have them involved in remembering to take the gifts to the party, right? 'Cause sometimes that's half the battle, just remembering to put it in the car. So then that way they have an appreciation of everything that goes into buying the gifts. Because sometimes I think we can have these expectations of our kids and we want them to be grateful, but we don't actually include them in the process of seeing what goes into it so that they can really develop an appreciation. So often we just kind of hand it on a silver platter and then expect that our kids are going to have those deep feelings of gratitude. So involve them, include them, and I think that'll go a long way in helping build that sense of gratitude. And then Ben, with your question just regarding age-appropriate gifts, if you find your kids are getting gifts from relatives or family or whoever, and it's either not age-appropriate or it's just not appropriate at all, It's still a really good lesson in showing gratitude and appreciation to the giver. You can set it aside, or if there's a gift receipt, like by all means, exchange it. If it's real, and like if it's something really inappropriate, if it's something that, the first thing for me that comes to mind is guns. Like I know a lot of people have really strong opinions on guns. If it's something like that where you don't want it in your house, just a really open conversation. It doesn't have to be like right there under the tree on Christmas morning. But just, I'm all about open communication. Honesty is the best policy. It doesn't mean you have to be a jerk about it, right? But just keeping things open, it goes a long way. Okay, and our next question is tied in again with the theme of gratitude, and it comes from Janice. What should I do if my child doesn't want their gift? I know, like who's been there? It's hard. It's hard enough when it's just you and your family on Christmas morning, but then add in your child doing that or expressing their displeasure with what they got at a family function, and it can make your blood pressure go up, right? Like it can be a real challenge. So the first thing with this, I think, is just giving yourself a little reality check, because so often we hold these crazy expectations for our kids that they should always like say the right thing and do the right thing and always be grateful. But it is hard. It is hard when you were expecting something it's hard enough for us as adults, right? To, I don't want to say disguise our disappointment, but it can be hard to be grateful in those moments where your expectations were maybe out of line with reality. So just kind of reality check that and have a little bit of compassion for your kids that, okay, heck, if it's hard enough for me to show gratitude sometimes, like no wonder it's a challenge for them. And of course, I say avoid, and this is so hard because for many of us, myself included, it's our knee-jerk reaction to say, you should be grateful, you should be thankful, like going all negative on our kids. That is not going to create warm and fuzzy feelings in anyone. It's just gonna make our kids want to run in the other direction. So I know it's hard, but try to zip it and avoid those knee-jerk reactions. And then what you can do instead is practice and coach them ahead of time. And I talk about this all the time, practice and coaching our kids in these situations, because again, I think oftentimes our kids are in these situations and that they've had no experience with or no guidance with, and we just like magically expect they're gonna know what to do. So one thing you can practice is just role-playing gift giving and gift receiving. Role-playing how to say thank you. Role-playing, oh my gosh, I just unwrapped this like stuffed pineapple that I didn't want. How am I going to respond? So your kids have a chance to practice. And then, because it's really not until you start going through the motions that your kids can see when it's going to be a challenge, and you can see when your kids are going to be stumbling. And then you can give them some alternatives of things to try instead, so that they go into these family situations feeling ready and feeling prepared. And sometimes you will do all of those things. You will practice, you will role play, you will coach them through all these different situations, trying to, set them up for success. And they will still be incredibly rude in the moment and hurt somebody's feelings. And that is so hard. That is so hard. So in those moments, one thing that I like to try and do is just model gratitude and model respect. So I myself will thank the person for the gift, because we can tell our kids to do things umpteen million times, but there's really nothing speaks louder than actions, and having that model. And then of course, speaking to our kids after the fact about, you know what, when you said that, it really hurt your uncle's feelings. He worked really hard at getting that gift. Just having that open conversation with them so they can see that there were hurt feelings, and they can see that you don't always have to love everything, and just appreciating the thoughtfulness that went into it. Because I think sometimes it's so easy, heck, for us adults as well, to get wrapped up in like the actual contents of the gift when that's really not what it's about, right? It's about thinking of someone else, showing our love for someone else, putting a little bit of time and effort into getting something that we think they would like. That's what it's about, not the end product. So teaching our kids behind the scenes, of course, I'm not like suggesting you do this again underneath the Christmas tree, but talk to them after the fact, and then maybe they could write a note or give a call, apologize, say thank you. I feel like so much of the stress that we face as parents, and so many of those like, what the freaking heck is happening in this moment? It's not about what's happening in the moment. It's about how we handle it and how we deal with it after the fact. So give it a try, coach them through it, but if all hell breaks loose, it's always a great opportunity to clean things up afterwards. And by clean things up, I mean clean things up with our kids, not doing it for them, helping them and coaching them and walking through the process of what that's like. All right, and our last question comes from Jay Brianna, and she asked, what would you do if your kids expected more than what you gave them? Oh goodness, is this ever a hard one? And this does not just apply to the holidays. This can apply to going through the drive-thru. This can apply to candy machines after hockey. This is such a good question, dealing with our kids' expectations. And first and foremost, the biggest thing is, I don't know if standing your ground is the right word, but resisting the temptation to give in and give more, do more, be more, because that really is just teaching our kids that, you know what, we complain, we get more. It doesn't really teach them to deal with what they've got and have gratitude for what they've got. So really, if you have a set number of gifts that you're gonna get, or whatever the limit or boundary it is, I really encourage you to stick to it. And it's also really a really good opportunity if you find that this is happening a lot with your kids. If your kids are disappointed in the number of gifts that they got, or they had all these big expectations, you feel like they're developing that sense of entitlement, just reality check yourself and just look at if you're spoiling your kids or not. Are you giving them every single thing that they're asking for? And I know we can think of this in terms of gift giving, receiving, but sometimes, like, I know for me, it was a big like aha moment when I realized, like, every time I went through the drive-thru, I would get my kids a Timbit, or I would get a Timbit is a very Canadian word, sorry for anyone watching outside of Canada, like little mini donut holes. Or every time, like after hockey practice, getting a candy. Like, our kids sometimes need to practice the act of not getting, so they know that it's not just I asked for something and I get it. So that's something to just practice all year round, the act of not getting. So if they're used to always getting that treat or always getting something at the grocery store checkout aisle, start the process of not making it an every time kind of thing, because that's what creates expectations and a sense of entitlement. And we can't really blame them if we have been handing everything over on a silver platter. So just practice the art of not giving in to everything, so our kids have a chance to deal with disappointment, because it really is a life skill. I actually think it's a massive life skill, developing a sense of resilience, a sense of, it feels funny saying like a sense of grit and not dealing with like getting candy, but sometimes it is a pretty tough pill to swallow, right? If you want something, and it won't always be easy, they'll probably be pretty vocal about it, but sometimes standing your ground is the best thing you can do for your kids. So guys, I really hope that helps. I know Christmas gift giving and holiday gift giving can be like a massive minefield. It can be a real challenge for such a variety of different reasons. So just try to involve your kids in the gift giving and receiving process to help them develop that sense of gratitude. Coach them through the process of gift giving and gift receiving so they know how to say thank you. They know how to deal when maybe they got something they didn't like. And then also work on broadening your kids' worldview so they can see that, you know what, not everybody has a mountain of presents on Christmas morning. And just to be thankful for what they've got, and to not be afraid to cut back on the number of gifts, because hey, less is more. The more we can teach our kids to appreciate what we've got, the better. Like, is there really any better gift for our kids to learn that lesson from an early age? So I hope that helps. Of course, if you have any questions, comments, join the conversation below. I always love hearing from you. Happy holidays, and I'll see you in the next video.